What is going on, guys? It is Wrestlelamia here, back with some more news. Join us now as we look at the wildest news stories and rumors you need to know, including John Cena's return has been leaked, disturbing news considering the Men's Royal Rumble winner, Shad thought AEW would fail, Legends returning at Wrestlemania, Nia Jax responds to haters, and much more. Be sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell for daily wrestling videos and follow us on Facebook for exclusive lists. Now let's hit the intro and get straight into the first story. Now, our first story looks at John Cena's return being leaked. Is John Cena returning to the WWE for a special appearance, and if so, when will the WWE get things started? Well, we have the answer to both questions as Ringside News' Steve Carrier is reporting WrestleMania is coming up and we have learned John Cena will be there. The problem is that information is not being shared. There is uncertainty about who he will work with and how many television tapings he will be able to make along the way. We were told, I don't think even Cena knows. But there are rumors, and at this point they should definitely be taken as rumors, that the WWE has Cena locked in for the next 3 WrestleManias. For now, it's unknown what's next for Cena, with Felix Upton from Ringside News elaborating. A tenured member of the writing team told us that there are no matches that have been shared regarding this. It's definitely happening at WrestleMania. While John Cena remains focused on his Hollywood career, he has found time for the WWE, as seen last year when he competed against Bray Wyatt in the Firefly Funhouse cinematic match. As we've discussed recently, the WWE seems focused on making this year's WrestleMania a smash success, especially as the promotion plans on having fans in attendance. Next up, a horrific Royal Rumble ending. There is some tumultuous talk right now about the finish to the Men's Royal Rumble match, with WrestleVotes discussing the situation. Sorry for the lack of details here, but still noteworthy in my opinion. Had a brief conversation earlier with a source regarding the Men's Royal Rumble match. They said, quote, "There's a finish that scares the death out of me, and it's legitimately getting heavy consideration." Yikes. What could that be? Goldberg enters the Rumble and wins? Brock Lesnar returns and wins? Well, there are 2 possibilities, but what other things are scarier than that? In fact, there are, as the WWE may be going with the long-rumoured but never implemented finish of having the first 29 Royal Rumble entrants before the 30th entrant arrives, which means a guaranteed win and one that could lead to a low-ranked superstar winning by dumb luck. What do you guys think the WWE has planned? Let us know in the comments down below. But according to Ringside News' Steve Carrier, the WWE has apparently already figured out the winners for both matches. There are reports going around about WWE still batting around the ideas for the Royal Rumble winners. We have been told there is no more discussing. Right now, they have their winners determined. Now, on one hand, it's good to see some long-term planning from the WWE, but on the other hand, the idea of a scary scenario for the winner invites us to ask if Vince McMahon has finally gone full-tit batch crazy. Next up, WrestleMania Legends Returning. For anyone who doubts the WWE is doubling down on WrestleMania, consider the following report from Sportskeeda. They revealed in an exclusive article that the site learned from an inside WWE source that this year's card will reportedly have several veteran superstars. The source brought up names such as John Cena, Stone Cold Steve Austin, Hulk Hogan, Scott Hall, and Kevin Nash, who could appear at the WrestleMania in Tampa, Florida. It was added that Undertaker's status is currently unclear. One question to ask is whether the WWE will resume its annual Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal, which was not held last year due to social distancing protocols. But rumor has it Hulk Hogan was scheduled for the match and would have emerged as the winner, a way for Hogan to end his career in the WWE in a match where he wouldn't have to take any bumps. Next up, heat between Shane McMahon and Triple H. Is there heat between Shane McMahon and Triple H? Well, that's a rumor that wrestling fans have discussed for decades, with some fans arguing that Shane McMahon left the WWE for several years because of supposed animosity between Shane and Mrs. McMahon Helmsley. During an episode of his Something to Wrestle podcast, Bruce Pritchard said there's no animosity between anyone, and that when Eric Bischoff returned to the WWE for his run as SmackDown executive director, he was blown away by what he saw. He had Vince, Steph, Hunter and Shane, and just the genuine love, and his first night in he saw it and he was like, wow, no matter what anybody says about anybody else, when you have that kind of love of your family and you're cool with everything, then you can't be that bad of a person. The argument can be made that Pritchard, who makes a comfortable living in the WWE, isn't gonna badmouth anyone in the company, but what do you guys think? Is this the truth? Next up, Shad thought AEW would fail. All Elite Wrestling has quickly become a force in the wrestling world, but it could not have started without the financial support of AEW President Tony Khan's billionaire backer and father, Shad Khan. Tony Khan shared his experience working with his dad during an appearance on Renee Young's Oral Sessions podcast.
How did that conversation go down when you're like, I want to start a wrestling promotion?
Not well. It didn't go well. He did not support this at all. And I put the business plan together, and then I was pretty much ready to commit to it. And again, he was very cold feet, and we had some very uncomfortable, loud conversations where I told him this was going to be great. And he's been so cool about it, my dad. He's the smartest person I've ever known. He knew nothing about wrestling, and now all of a sudden, because he's the smartest business person, now that he's paying attention to wrestling, he's learning a lot, and he makes really observant points sometimes, even though it's not his thing. He loved AEW. AEW is his thing, but he was never a wrestling fan before AEW.
AEW's success did not come without a major investment or a major risk. Billionaire Shad Khan took a major risk when he decided to invest in his son's dream of forming a national wrestling promotion, especially given the WWE's domination of the industry for decades. Nevertheless, things turned out remarkably well despite the pandemic, and better than anyone could have anticipated. Next up, WWE was forced to make major changes to the Superstar Spectacle. The WWE's network special Superstar Spectacle recently aired, part of the promotion's plan to launch NXT India. However, one major match had to be altered due to an Indian wrestler becoming unavailable. PW Insider recently detailed what happened, saying, during the WWE Superstar Spectacle, the company aired a video feature on Kavita Devi and then mentioned she was back in India dealing with a family issue. That was legitimate. The original plan was for Devi to team with Charlotte Flair on the special. Instead, Serena Sandhu was placed into the tag match. Next up, Nia Jax responds to being called dangerous. Fans tuning into this week's Raw saw Nia Jax go for a chokeslam on Dana Brooke and literally slam her on her head. While Brooke wasn't injured, this was the latest close call for opponents who've had the misfortune of having to step in the ring with Jax, who has a reputation for being careless and/or indifferent about protecting her opponents. Recently, TalkSport's Alex McCarthy tweeted a video clip of Jax nearly murderizing Brooke, to which Jax replied, "A thread of whiners. Love to see it." Jax included some LOL emojis in her reply, suggesting she couldn't care less about her obvious oafish approach to wrestling. Perhaps it's time to rename her Mrs. Potato Head for the many potatoes she's dished out to opponents. But it's no laughing matter though, as Jax is probably going to seriously injure a WWE superstar if something is not done to remedy this preventable problem. And finally, I've got no title for this. It's just called Unreal. Just unreal. Now, we've all heard tales of new wrestlers who come to the WWE only to find themselves starstruck by the legends and main eventers in the locker room. One such wrestler was Sin Cara, who reportedly was a big edgehead and couldn't wait to meet wrestling's rated R superstar. But according to a report by Lucha Libre Online, when Sin Cara arrived in WWE in 2011, he couldn't wait to meet his hero, and when he found him, he shook his hand, telling him how excited he was to meet him. You won't get what's funny about that, but when you hear that the only problem was that it wasn't Edge Sin Cara was greeting, but Brian Myers, aka Kurt Hawkins. This mistake is understandable, however, as Hawkins and Zack Ryder did play Edge's lookalikes, eventually working as the Major Brothers. But there you have it guys, the wildest wrestling news stories and rumors you need to know. What do you guys think of these stories and rumors? Let us know in the comments down below, subscribe if you haven't already, follow us on Instagram and Facebook for exclusive lists. We'll have a shocking rumors video on tonight, be sure to tune in, and I'll see you next time with some more wrestling content.